Welcome to Kentucky Office for Refugees tutorial for account enrollment for instant issue payment cards. This is part of the payment card program, and instant issue cards are cards that are ordered by resettlement agencies that are associated with a bank account that has not yet been actively connected to a particular client. And so this is the process for enrolling a client in the bank account and making sure that we issue the appropriate payment card to that client. Going to show you, this is the template that has been provided by Fiserv in order to be able to complete those account enrollments. We must use this template. And as I have discussed in training and orientation with resettlement agency staff, there is a lot about this particular template and the format that must be used when uploading it that makes it highly sensitive to any small errors or problems. And so that is the purpose for this tutorial, is to take you through step by step in order to avoid as many of those errors as possible. So this tutorial assumes that you have already ordered instant issue cards and that you have downloaded the account numbers for those instant issue cards. So we are going to begin by signing into Client Track. And we're going to locate the Data Explorer. And we're looking for a query that I have titled Instant Issue, Instant Issue Account Enrollment. This query is open and accessible for any Client Track user. And so I would encourage you to make a copy and save it for your own use, although you can use this version that I have created. So in this query, we are trying to get as much of the information that Client Track has as will be used for completing the template for the instant issue account enrollment. So we have the first name, last name, mailing address fields, phone numbers, date of birth, alien number, and then these final three categories are not used on the instant issue card template, but they help us to sort so that when you get your search results, they are relevant to what you are trying to accomplish. So of course, you'll need to select your agency office and set it to run for both the KTAP differential and refugee cash assistance programs. You can, of course, customize that as needed. And then I've selected the field of number of days enrolled. And the assumption that I'm working with here is that staff are going to be completing the account enrollments pretty frequently as they are orienting clients and enrolling them in the refugee cash assistance and differential programs. For now, I have set the number of days enrolled to 15. It's reasonable to think that most agencies will actually complete account enrollments weekly or even potentially more frequently. And in that case, you may want to decrease the number of days enrolled to 7 or 10 or even 3 or 4, depending on how frequently you're going to do this. For now, I'm going to leave it at 15. So you want to go ahead and run this query and get your results. What I'm looking for, as it shows here, is clients that have enrolled in the program within the past 15 days. And so my working assumption with that is that these are the clients that have yet to be enrolled in their bank account. And so I want to generate that list in order to begin the process of connecting them with the bank account. So I have already downloaded that data. And I have changed this data so that it doesn't actually contain the personal information of any of the clients that would have appeared in that download. And so I do want to walk through step by step how we prepare this data in order to be used with our template. Now, before we even use this template, as I had said, I'm assuming that you have already accessed the card management system and downloaded the account numbers. And the way that you do that is to navigate on the card management system to the bulk screen, and you go to maintain orders. You're going to search orders. We always search by program name, and for all agencies, it is Catholic Charities of Louisville. We're going to search. And you will see here a number of orders that have been completed. Typically, we'll do this immediately after ordering my instant issue cards. But for example, we've got Owensboro's instant issues. You're going to click not on the order number, but on the line item number. And that is going to show you the status of your order here. And we have successfully ordered 50 cards for the Owensboro office. You would then click download accepted account details. Is going to generate a report that includes both the account numbers and the card numbers. It will only show the last 4 or 5 digits of the card numbers, but it will show the full account numbers. When you download that, it is in a text tab delimited file. You can simply select all in that file, come right here to cell A3, and you'll copy them on the text tab delimited file and paste them here. It will paste to where the account numbers are in this column and the card numbers are in this column. And you can go ahead and delete all of those card numbers. We do not want to include them in our upload because it does not display the entire card number. So then what we would have here is essentially a blank template that has all of the account numbers and not really any other information. So what we are trying to do now is to provide the rest of the required information in order to upload this file and complete account enrollment. Once you have this file with the account numbers on here, I recommend that you save it as a master file, which you will use to track which of the cards that you have acquired from Fiserv have already been assigned to clients. So for example, some of our larger offices may order as many as several hundred, even a couple of thousand cards at the same time. We don't want to lose track of which cards have been issued and which cards have not. So I'm going to keep a master file that shows all of the account numbers for those hundreds or thousands of cards. And I'm going to fill this out as I go along. Now, it's an important thing to know that you do not have to, and in fact, you will not want to wait until you have assigned all of those cards to upload your file and complete account enrollment. You want to complete account enrollment as quickly after assigning the card to the client as is reasonable and possible. So for example, I know that MRS completes orientations on Wednesday pretty much every week, and they do their RCA enrollment, and they issue their instant issue cards at that orientation. So either later that same day or at the very latest by Friday, they will want to have completely filled out this template and uploaded it to the card management system website in order to complete those account enrollments. Since this would be the master file, after a few weeks, you would see that the first several dozen rows would be filled out in their entirety. When we upload the file, we do not want to upload the file with both those accounts that have already been enrolled and the new accounts. And so one thing that we will need to do is to have a way of marking which of these have already been uploaded and which of them are our new account enrollments for the current upload. You can, if you so choose, on your master file, keep a column here, for example, where you might say enrollment completed or completion date. And then you could track when you submitted your file for a given group of clients on here. So for example, if I was uploading this today, I would say on 9/18/2023. And let's say that there were 10 people that I was going to upload. So you would see that these clients had already been uploaded, and in the future, I would then begin adding additional clients to my master list here. But when it's time to upload, I would need to copy and paste only the new information for my upload. So I'll get into that a little bit more later on. So let's go ahead and look at the columns that are on this template. So we've got first name, which is limited to 15 characters. And do note that there are directions in every column about the limit on the number of characters that can be used and about specific formatting requirements. You will also see 15 characters and then it says required. You are not required to have at least 15 characters. You are limited to 15 characters. But the columns that say required are ones that are required either by Fiserv or by Core when you upload your file. And so we got first and last name. We will never use the any of the columns that are white on this form except for potentially address line 2. The rest of the columns that are white, we want to make sure that there is never any information stored in this file for the simple reason that it could cause problems in the future when we're uploading if there is a discrepancy between information already saved either by us or by the client on their account and the information that we subsequently upload. So we're going to ignore these white columns except for, again, address line 2. So we've got our address, the second column for address in case all of the address information does not fit in the first column, city, state, zip code, work phone, home phone. With the work phone and home phone, we are not going to need to distinguish between those. We are only going to provide a single phone number for each account enrollment. And so all of those will appear in the work phone column, and we will ignore the home phone column. We are going to state whether or not we want to activate the card at the time of enrollment, and the answer for that is always going to be no. The client will need to call to activate their card. We will provide the date of birth and the alien number. On here it says social security number. We will use alien number. A locale code, which you see have been provided at the top of the sheet here. So depending on which office is doing the enrollment, you'll use the code corresponding to your office, which is the information shown in red. We will provide the account number, which will already be on here when you download that information from the Fiserv card management system. And then the amount, which for our purposes will always be $0.00. And we'll talk about the formatting for them. So let's go ahead and look at our file and go through step by step how we prepare this information to get it onto our template so that it can be uploaded and not cause any problems. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to add some empty columns because we will be using a tool called text columns. I'm going to go back to my home tab here on, this is called the ribbon. I'll be referring to the ribbon throughout the video. These are the various tabs on the page. Okay, so we are going to want to add columns that do not have any information in them at this time. Easiest way to do that is to go, so I want to add a column that allows me to move information from column A into a blank column if need be. So I'm going to go where I want my blank column to be, right click on that and select insert. So now I have a blank column for the first name column here. I'm going to do the same thing for last name, for address. And the reason for doing that is that I'm going to use the text to columns feature. You'll see that on the spreadsheet, first name category is limited to 15 characters. In this case, I don't believe that any of these are longer than 15, but we want to make absolutely sure because we do not want our upload to fail. We are going to go to the Data tab, over to the Text to Columns button here on the ribbon. Going to click on that. It's going to open this dialog box. We want to specify a limit on the width of the information in this column. So we select Fixed Width, Next, and we need to choose the maximum number of characters that are allowed in this column. Over here, it specifies on our template 15 characters. So I'm going to click on 15. If you accidentally click on 16 or somewhere else, you'll see that you can add multiple lines. But if you didn't click on 15, you accidentally clicked on 17, as I did here, you just double click on the arrow, it removes the line, and then you can come back and click on 15. We're going to go ahead and click Finish. And what it would do, if any of these names were longer than 15 characters, is it would chop it off, and it would move any of the extra text over into column B. We have no use for that text, and so we would just go ahead and delete column B. We will now do the same thing. As you can see on the template, the last name is also limited to 15 characters. So we're going to do the same thing, go to Text to Columns, select Fixed Width, and Next, select 15, and Finish. Now, you can see that in this instance, there were 3 characters beyond the limit of 15. So this has been chopped off. That's okay. We're just going to go ahead and delete it. For the purposes of the bank, 15 characters for the first and for the last name is sufficient, along with the other information that will be provided for them to establish and verify the identity of the person who owns the account. So we will not worry about the fact that it is cut off. For the mailing address, we need to also abide by the character limit, which in this case is 30 characters per line of address. So I've got the column C selected. I'm going to do Text to Columns, Fixed Width, select Next. Now my limit is going to be 30 characters, and I will finish. As you can see, there are 2 spots where the data within column C has exceeded the 30 character limit. Unlike with the name, we do not want to lose this information. This is the mailing address that the bank will use to send information to the clients once they have activated their account. So what we need to do in instances like this is to look at what would be the natural line breakpoint between line 1 and line 2 and move that information accordingly. So in this instance, I'm going to remove the AP for apartment from this particular line, and I'm going to put it here into address line 2. Same thing down here. This looks like it is apartment 1202. We could move just the 1202. I would prefer to just go ahead and do the apartment. We're going to do that as well. Oop, I put that in the wrong place. So we're going to do apartment 1202. And it looks like I forgot to delete it here. I want to make sure that we do that. Okay. So in terms of the restriction on the number of characters, there are now 30 or fewer characters in this column, and we've used the second column to provide any additional information that would be needed. Now, the other thing that we will need to do, and this actually reminds me, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. In the name columns, there are some languages where special characters are used in names, such as accents or tildes or other special characters. For example, I want to choose one that might make a little bit of sense, but it's not important. For example, this person might have had a name that actually started with, and I don't know how to do that as a capital offhand, but with this Enye letter that has the special character on top of it. we cannot have any special characters, including accents, in the file that we upload, or it will be rejected. So we need to look carefully at all of this data, and we are going to change it to the most similar common alphabetic character. Same thing if you see an A with an accent or an I with an accent, we will just substitute the A for the I respectively. The reason why I was reminded of this is that in the address column, you will see that a number of addresses have a hashtag or pound or number symbol in them. Our report does not allow us to upload a file with this symbol in it. So there are a couple of things that you can do. One would be to just go through this by hand and delete the number symbol. Often you will need to replace it with an apartment or a unit. So I will just type unit 124 for that particular address. The other thing that you can do is select the entire column, and you're going to use control. You're going to hold down the control button and press H in order to open this find and replace dialog box. In this case, we want to find the hashtag symbol, and you could replace it with nothing. In this case, I think it would be better to replace it with the word unit. And we could simply say replace all, and you see that it has replaced the hashtags with the word unit. Now, I don't necessarily think that it's a good idea to do it this way for this particular problem, because sometimes people have put things like apartment number. They've actually spelled that out, and what would happen then is it would say apartment unit and then whatever the unit number or apartment number is. So in this particular case, I can see that that was not what happened. So I do want to go back, and just for our mail carriers ease of use, I want to add a space, make sure that that's going to be readable. It may be advisable to do that step before you do the text to columns function, because we are adding characters to the length of the information in this column, and it could cause the file to fail if it were to exceed 30 characters. What we can also do, since we made this change, is quickly do the text to columns again to make sure that adding additional characters has not caused it to exceed those limits. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I can see that no additional text has moved into column D, so I'm going to leave that just like it is. For the city, state, zip code columns, there's really not anything that I need to do other than to give it a quick visual check to make sure that, for example, occasionally somebody in client track will have typed Nicholasville, comma, KY. And so you would see that on here, it would display KY, KY. So I would clean that up just by deleting the unnecessary information. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to phone numbers. Now, in client track, I see this quite a lot. Sometimes a person will specify that a number is a cell phone number. At other times, they will specify that it is a home phone number. And in some cases, as in this client here, you will see that there are two phone numbers. What we need to do is to get all of the information that we have to be in one column. We want there to be at least one phone number on file with the bank for every client, and in fact, it is required. So in a small batch like this, it wouldn't be too difficult to simply copy and paste each of these numbers into their respective slots. But I want to show you that there is an easy way for us to do that with all of these at the same time. So I'm just going to select all of the information in one of these two columns. I'm going to hold down the control button and press G which is going to open my go to dialog box. What I'm doing here is telling Excel that I want it to go to every cell that matches a certain criteria. We're going to click on special. We want to find all of the blank fields that are within this column. So when I click OK, you see now that it has selected all of the blank fields for me, and it's kept the top one ready to receive any typing or text. So I'm just going to put equals, and then I'm going to press the left arrow to select the column or cell that is immediately next to it and press enter. Now you'll notice that it still has all of these empty cells that have some data next to them highlighted. When I press enter, well, actually I'm going to need to press control enter. When I hold down control and press enter, it's going to apply this formula to all of the open cells. And you see now that for every cell where there was data to the left, it has copied and pasted them. To assist you, I'm going to do that again to show you how that works. So we're going to take, and I could do this easily. Let me do it the opposite way so you can see how this works. I'm going to select all of this particular column. I'm going to hold down Control and press G. Bring up my go-to dialog box, click on special, click on blanks, press OK. It's not going to do it here because it's not recognizing that these are empty cells. If I actually highlighted each one and press delete, it will recognize them as empty cells. I'm not sure why it's doing that. So let me try that again. Make sure that works. Special. Blanks, okay. But there you go. You see that it has selected all of these blank cells, and it's ready to receive input in this particular cell. So I'm going to say equals. I'm just going to press the right arrow, and then I'm going to hold down the control button and hit enter. And it's going to do the same thing there, where it's going to grab anything that exists in this column and drop it into this column if there was not already some text there. Once you've done that, we're going to need to copy this information. And the reason we need to do this is right now, all of this information in this column is here based on a formula. And so if I delete column I, which I need to do, let me show you what happens. I'm going to select that, I'm going to delete it. And it's saying, wait, there's a reference error saying this information was saying it's equal to what was in column I, but column I no longer exists. So let me go back. What I need to do is just simply copy all of this information. I'm going to press Control C. I'm going to select the top cell by right clicking, come down to my paste options area. I want to do paste values. What that's doing is keeping the numbers, but it's no longer relying on a formula to fill these cells. So now, if I come and delete this unnecessary column, I still have all of the information that I need in that column. Now, a couple more things I need to do with the phone column. First of all, you will see on our template here that the format that is required is a string of 10 digits, numbers only, no dashes or hyphens. So I want to go back to my file here. I'm going to select that entire column. I'm going to hold down the control button and press the letter H to open the find and replace dialog. I'm going to seek or find every hyphen, and I don't want to replace it with anything. What that is going to do when I click replace all is just remove all of the hyphens and kind of squish the numbers together. Okay, we'll close that. The last thing that I need to do, we are required to have exactly 10 digits for a phone number. So you could just type, assuming that we actually don't have a phone number for this client. Of course, if we do have a number, we want to provide that here so that the bank also has a way to reach them. But if we don't have a number and we need to complete enrollment, we can just supply zeros But what you will notice is that when I hit enter, it goes back to being a singular 0. And the reason is because the formatting in this cell is a number. So the way that we resolve that is to type an apostrophe and then our 10 zeros. And I need to make sure that that was 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need one more 0. Okay, and so this information is actually now being stored as a text. You'll see there's a little warning sign there. It says the number in this cell is formatted as text or preceded by an apostrophe. That is okay. It is one of the tricks that we actually use in order to put numbers into the file. So I'm going to just go ahead and copy and paste that number. So now we have a 10-digit phone number with no dashes for every single client. The fact that it is justified to the left or moved over to the left and the other numbers are moved over to the right, that does not matter. Okay, the birth date column. On our template, it shows that the date of birth must be in the format month, day, year, with no backslashes. So we need to format this birthday column. So we're going to select the column. We're on our home tab already. We're going to go up to where it shows this information here and click on this little number format button. Once we get this dialog box, we want to do our category is custom. And we're simply going to go to the type. We're going to remove general. And we're going to type it exactly as it was on the template. Month, day, year. And press OK. And it has changed all of these birthdays except for this one. And I'm not sure why, but we'll look at that in just a moment. But it's changed all of the birthdays to the month, day, year format. So this is still January 1st, 1981. March 14th, 1964. It's important that we do it with this particular formatting tool because as with the phone numbers, if you have a date of birth that is, for example, like this one, January 13th, 2011, if you don't format it exactly that way, it's not going to give you the 0 that goes with January. So it's going to say 1/13/2001 instead of 01/13/2001. Now I need to look at this here and figure out why. It may just be as simple as that. There was no space in between the date and the timestamp. However, having done that, it actually looks like it changed. Oh no, it was the one above. Okay. Add the space, enter. Okay, yeah, January 13th, 2001. I saw this cell here and thought it had changed the information somehow. All right, so our birth date is now correctly formatted. For alien number, or on here, social security number, you see 9 digits formatted with no slashes, dashes, or any other characters or symbols. So we're going to use the same thing. Select column J, hold down the control button, press H to bring our find and replace dialog. It's already got this information from when we did the phone numbers. We're looking for hyphens and we're going to replace it with nothing. We want to replace all and close. And now you can see that our alien numbers are formatted without any dashes. Now, I don't know if you can see, but I can, that there are 2 numbers which are 1 digit shorter than the other numbers. And if I go back, you can see that these 2 numbers began with the digit 0. And so when we format it in this way as a number, it looks at that and says, well, that 0 at the beginning is unnecessary. Well, we need exactly 9 digits. So we're going to type apostrophe 0 and hit enter. And we're going to do the same thing for this one here. That way, we know that we have exactly 9 digits. And if you want to, just to be able to see this visually a little bit easier, you can move the alignment to the right. That way you can neatly see that everything lines up. You could do the same thing with the phone numbers. Make sure that you have the correct number of digits. Okay, these last 3 columns that you see here, again, we just need those to be able to run a report so that we're only pulling information for our agency, for the programs that we need, and we're only looking at our recent enrollees. Now, for the agency, if you use 15 days as the limit, as I did when running the report, I can see that there are a number of clients here who were enrolled 2 weeks ago. It is possible that I have, and maybe even probable, that I have already completed account enrollment for these clients because they were enrolled in RCA, probably given their instant issue card 2 weeks ago. That would be a reason why you would want to reduce in your report that you're running on Client Track. Show you what I'm referring to here. The number of days enrolled, you might want to reduce that number so that your data report is not showing you people that you have already enrolled. Unfortunately, right now, we have to check by hand and make sure that we're not duplicating enrollments for any clients. None of the ways that you can structure a report in Client Track allows you to pull a data report that shows if they already have an account number. That is something that we're working on. So in the meantime, if I already know, oh, I've completed my enrollments for all of these individuals, then I can just delete this information. Another thing that you could do would be when the time is right, and this isn't formatted all the way yet, but just to show you, you could copy and paste it into your template, and then you could use conditional formatting. I would do it actually for the alien number, which is this number here. So do conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, duplicate values, and if you see any of these highlighted a different color, it's letting you know, hey, you've already done an account enrollment for that individual. Don't submit it again. In this case, this has not been fully formatted yet. So let's go back here. All right, we need to finish preparing this information. I am going to go ahead and delete these columns that we do not need. The last thing that we want to do now is get this to where it aligns with everything that's in the template. Now, I could just start copying and pasting this information into the columns on here. There's some risk of accidentally copying and pasting something into an incorrect column. So we're just going to actually format these spreadsheets to be laid out the same way. I want to find my other one here. And I'm going to expand this. Okay. So column A should be first name, column B, last name. We're good on that. Column C is an empty column. So again, I'm just going to right click on column C, do insert, and now we've got an empty column, which is good. Column D is address line 1, E, address line 2, city, state, zip code. This says cell phone. We're going to delete the headers anyway, so don't worry about the fact that it doesn't say the same thing. The important thing is just that it's phone numbers in both cases. Now, we are not providing a second phone number, so I need to insert an empty column in that space. Then we get to where it says activate card, yes or no. So I'm going to first insert a new column here. And as I said earlier in the video, we always select no or type no, or in this case an N. So I'm going to do a capital N and press enter. And we do not want to activate any of these cards. So a simple thing that you can do is go back and click on that cell, and you can see that there's a little box right here. And when I hover on it, my pointer changes to a little plus sign. If I then double click, it's going to take whatever's in that cell and apply it all the way down the sheet to any row that has information in it. You'll notice it stopped and didn't continue. So that's a nice little trick that you can do there. So we got the date of birth in column L, the alien number in M, then N, O, and P, we don't need any information in these columns, so we're going to leave those blank. Then in Q, you can see that we need to put a locale code. Now, when I ran this report, I ran it as if though I were the Lexington office, which is a KRM office. So on here, you'll see that I have provided the codes for each of the agencies. For Kentucky Refugee Ministries, Lexington office, the code is KLX. So I'm going to go to my sheet here, go into KLX and hit enter. And just as I had with the N, I can simply click here, find the little green box, double click, and it's not one to do that for me. I think because there's no data in multiple columns here, it's not wanting to do that. If I do it like so, still not wanting to do it. Well, you can also just click and drag this as far as you need to go, and it will fill in the rest of those columns for you. All right, let's finish filling this out. Okay, so column R, S, T, U, we don't have any information that we want to put in those columns. Column V, you'll need to remember that your template will already have the account numbers that you copied and pasted from the card management system in it. So on this spreadsheet, we're not going to put any information. We don't want to put card number and then the amount. For the amount, I might recommend that you go ahead and copy and paste this as it is, and then use the provided zeros there to copy and paste or fill in the rest of your template. But we'll just go ahead and do apostrophe 00.00 like so. Because you'll remember, if I don't do an apostrophe and I do 00.00, it's going to automatically change that to a single zero. So I'm going to copy this. Well, let me actually show you here. If I select this and double click, when it gets to the next cell, it's actually providing a 1. What you would need to do is copy, paste it until you have 3. Then when you select all 3 and double click, it would provide zeros all the way down the sheet. In this case, I'm having to drag and drop it because there's so many fields or so many columns without data that it's saying, I don't recognize that this information is connected or associated with this information. So at this point, all we need to do is then select the top row that has our client information in it, hold down the control button and the shift button and push the down arrow. It's going to select every row that has information in it. You can either right click and select copy. I just hold down control and C. I come over to my first available cell in column A, and I'm going to hit paste. And you would already have account numbers here. Let's actually experiment here really quickly. Make up an account number, and I just want to see if I paste here. Oops. I'm going to copy that and paste, and it does replace the account number. So what you will want to do is actually stop at the point where you get to column Q. So I'll just select that, control shift down, copy. Come over to my table here and paste it, and then that way it will not replace the account numbers. if you do it that way, you'll need to make sure that you copy and paste the zeros on down the sheet. All of this is full of duplicate information. So let me go back to where we have a clean spreadsheet. So let's say this is the first time doing an account enrollment. I'm going to select cell A3 is the first available cell in column A. Paste it. The account numbers would already be supplied there. I would need to copy and paste this. 1, 2, 3, select it, and then I can drag it down to this point. If I don't do 3, there's only 1, and I drag it, it's actually going to increase by 1 penny with each one. So that's why I copy it, I paste it again, I select all 3, say the pattern is just pure zeros, paste that all the way down. Again, assuming this already has the account numbers in it, this is going to be almost ready for upload. If I need to actually do the account enrollment for all of these rows, the next step would be to select rows 1 and 2, delete them. So now the only information on this spreadsheet is the account enrollment information for these particular clients. You're going to go to File, Save As, and this is extremely important. The file type has to be text tab delimited. And when we upload the file, there cannot be any spaces in the name of the file. I'm going to name this something like Lexington. Let's just do Lex. Instead of a space, I can use an underscore. Lex instant, and the date of the upload is 09/19/2023. So I could save that file then. And it's not going to show me that text tab delimited file, but I have it right here in my folder, Lex instant 09/19/2023. And this is what a text tab delimited file looks like. So basically it's all spaced out based on the number of characters and everything, which is why there's a specific limit for each column. The fact that it doesn't align on here is not a problem. Don't be worried about that. So we have our file now. We have not yet completed account enrollment for these clients who have received their cards, which is important because they cannot activate their cards until, or use them until we have actually completed account enrollment. So the next step is going to be going to the card management system. I'm going to log in. Try that again. We're going to go to our bulk screen. Select bulk. We're going to do card activity. This is not a new order. We've already ordered the cards. We're not maintaining an order that's already been placed. We're doing card activity. And we are updating the cards. And the reason why we're selecting that is that these cards already have a bank account associated with them. We are updating them to provide the customer or the client's information. We're going to do update cards. Our program name is Catholic Charities. And we're going to give a simple description. I strongly recommend that you put your location or some other information there to be able to find this more easily in the future. I'm going to give it the same name, Lex Instant 9/19/2023, and I can use characters doing this. Number of records. So I forgot to mention that. That is important. We have to know exactly how many rows there are in this file that we're uploading. You just go to the bottom row, look at the number in your spreadsheet. That only works if you've already deleted the directions and the column headers that were on here, as I have. There's 25 records. So we would go to 25. We choose our file for upload. And remember that it has to be text tab delimited file. I don't remember which folder I put this in. Okay, here we go. So we got our Lexington instant. And then we click upload. Now, I'm going to do this even though it contains made up information and names and things. There are no account numbers here. So this way you can see what happens. You select upload. You'll see where it says uploading. We have to wait a moment until it changes its status to pending. Until it changes its status to pending, we don't want to and we cannot submit the order. Once it changes to pending, then we will come and select submit order. So there you go. You see that it has changed itself to pending. The larger the file you upload, the longer it takes, but typically never more than a minute or two, often just a few seconds like it was this time. Now I can click save, well, submit order. I'll go ahead and do that. So you can see that it's going to populate here where it says view order details. Always click on this because on the next screen, you're going to look at line item number. And you want to look to see out of the 25 that were submitted, how many were accepted, how many were rejected. It will give you then several download options here. You can download accepted account details to see which ones were accepted. And as you can see here, we can download rejected account details. If you have any rejections, you need to check that, make any corrections, and upload a corrected file because the account enrollment has not been completed successfully. If your file is rejected or if some rows are rejected, we're going to need to fix those. The good news is when you download your rejected account details and go to look at that, now it is a text tab delimited file here. It's going to give us these codes that tell us exactly what the problem is. Why was this rejected? So I'm just going to select all by hitting Control A. I'm going to copy by doing Control C. In this case, I don't need this information here. I'm just going to delete it. That way I can paste the information from my text tab delimited file. Now what you'll see is it keeps the same columns. Now there are some places where the formatting looks different, so that's interesting. But what I'm most interested in is there is a new column all the way over here, column Y, where it has all of these codes. I see R03, R04, R02, and then I also see some 2164. These are rejection codes or error codes. What you will need to do is go to our Google Drive and you're going to go to core policies and procedures. I don't care about this. You're going to find the payment card program docs. And then right down here, CMS return codes revised. We want to look at this file because it has this list of all of the codes that might be used to explain what happened to your upload. Now I see R03, R04, and R02. So the account is closed, there is no account, or there's an invalid account number. So it's getting all of those codes for the same reason. I did not put an account number. It wasn't able to associate my upload with a specific bank account, therefore it rejected that upload. We also have, this is either just 164, which is what it looks like it is, although there's no explanation for that. So it might be 16, or it might be, so the way that this is formatted is unfortunate with this particular one, because it's hard to tell what's going on using the account codes. It's unusual to see that. But I do know that typically you only get one rejection code, and it might say something like invalid social security number. So whatever those codes may be, it's telling you for that particular row, this is what needs to be fixed. Now, an important thing to know, when you come back to CMS and you want to correct those uploads, we're gonna go back to bulk. Now that I've submitted my upload, I need to just do a maintain orders, search orders, search by program name, Catholic Charities. And now it should be the very top one. Yeah, Lexington Instant 919. We go to, again, we don't click on order number, we click on line item number. And you'll see there it says upload corrected file. So I would be able to fix any issues that I see here. I could put in the correct account numbers. I could come back and fix these phone numbers. Maybe just do that, for example, to fix any problems with the phone numbers. It looks like these are dates of birth, and I'm saying this person was born in the year 4670, so that would be what happened with this person born in 4999, 7518. So I would need to look these individuals up, find out what was the correct date of birth, make those corrections. And don't see what else might have caused this 164 code. But the important thing is when we upload a corrected file, as we'll see here, if this were to say, for example, that 23 were accepted, 2 were rejected, the upload corrected file, we would only upload a file with the 2 accounts that were corrected. We do not upload the full 25 with the corrections on the 2 that had errors, only the 2 that were corrected. So when you do that, you make your corrections on your template, you save it with only the 2 that need to be corrected. You type in, I'm only submitting 2. You select your file that you've saved in TextCAD delimited format, and you upload that. And then, whoop, I closed it, but same thing, when you upload it, you wait for the screen to show that it has switched from uploading to pending. You submit it, you check the status to make sure that it has then accepted all 25 of your uploads. Once you've done that successfully, then all of those account enrollments are completed, and the client can be told to go ahead and activate their account by calling the 800 number for the Money Network. If you have rejected files in your upload, you can always reach out to the RCA manager at CORE with any questions or for assistance with that upload. This has been the step-by-step tutorial for account enrollment. The main takeaways are that you have to be very careful when you are preparing all of the information to go into this template, to follow the directions exactly as they are both in this video and on the template itself.